Hello everybody, and welcome to another War Thunder video. In today's video, we are going to be doing 10 matches of War Thunder, and seeing how they go. I will be doing the commentary over this video for the time being. I hope we're going to have a fun time. Otherwise, the time I had playing War Thunder at this point, it's been a very good time. Speaking of War Thunder, do you guys like participating in realistic and historically accurate events? Or maybe just finding new friends to play with you? Then this Discord server, Thick Thunder, is for you. We have a friendly community and good moderation, so we can assure that you'll love it there. Anyhow, let's get right into the video. During my approach to battle, my engine continued to overheat. I was gaining altitude quickly in order to get above my enemies and effectively take them down. This is a tactic I've used since the beginning of time, or since some learning I did. Otherwise, the first sites of battle I saw was at low altitudes, where my allies dove down to fight enemies near the ground. The enemy armada ahead did not look very appealing. There was like 6 guys in front of me. So I decided to go down and dive for a Yak 1 near the ground with my allies. During the chase, I didn't really do too well. I'm a little rusty. But eventually during the chase, an I-153 came and took me out, ending the match for me. Match 2 was went crazy in the beginning, but for what it was okay. It was also kind of funny, too. During takeoff, a team kill takes place. I was not going to let that slide, so I decided to shoot them down. They attempted to drop a bomb on me to kill me, and some other P-400s behind me even started shooting at me, assuming they were friends. Well, with that bomb, he ended up killing himself, and the 2 other friends with him decided to crash in the ground so it could join him. But I laughed my ass off for that time. And I decided to just stick around the airfield, waiting for the right time to go out there.
What the hell just happened? The Corsairs down there! He's confused as fuck!
It's the most reasonable thing I could have done. Eventually, I did start to go into battle, and my aircraft got damaged from the bomb, by the way. It wasn't entirely damaged, it was some fuselage damage. It was a bit bad. However, the battle I went into was not a very good one. I did survive longer than last time, but during an order I watched as an enemy soared in. I attempted to take evasive action, but by then it was already too late. They soared over me, and their Key 44 took me down while I was still trying to get my bearings. I ended up losing that match, and it was quite embarrassing. Match 3 was short, and I did die near the end. Yet, this one, I got a kill. It was fairly delayed, but it was something that happened. It did happen. And I don't think I even have it on recording, so that sucks. Cut that. During the battle, I took it upon me to show my aerobatic capability, in which I managed to outmaneuver several enemies throughout the battle, or at least outmaneuvering an LA-5 in a head-to-head confrontation. During this head-to-head confrontation, I just sent a burst, which damaged them heavily. And I got away with minimum damage. But with a very stupid but brave act, the LA-5 turned right into my crosshairs as I was turning. And I let another burst out, which did hit, but didn't do any bad damage to them. The rest of my fire was off-target, to say the least. I did not make very good hits for this run, but I attempted to hit where I could. When it dove down to lower altitudes, and that's when the chaos began. An AL-2 broke off from a blight head on me, and I decided to avoid it altogether. There was flames everywhere and all around. Later in my chase with the LA-5, I gained a tail, which proved an experienced pilot. They hit my engine, which sealed my inevitable downfall. My low airspeed and damaged aircraft was what ended my fight. However, the LA-5 I was on earlier had lost momentum and crashed into the woods. Match 4 was the shortest one so far. The map was Mozdok, a map I hate for the little time you have to climb before meeting your opponents. Maybe this round I had put off more than I could chew. I saw a Yak 9 closing, decided to head on, sending a missing burst before avoiding their burst. If only it hadn't been for the enemies piling on me, and my pilot error, I could have won in this battle. Safe to say, my wing was sheared off and a collision with the enemy, and a nearby KI-45 got the kill. Match 5, I decided to mix up. With my B-17G, I would attempt a bombing run on my enemies, with 4 other B-17s, all of different types. With some messing around, we made a bet. It's quite fun. I bet that the B-17 near the front would die first. That was until bandits appeared on the front side, and then FW-190 moved into attack position. I knew I was likely gonna be the roster of first death. The first attempt was quite clean, as the 190 actually failed to land good hits, but I missed my target. I missed my bombing target. I, however, made a fatal mistake, and turned straight into the enemy, hoping to gun him down. To say the least, I'm rusty at gunners. I went down first. Me and the others joked around till the end of the match. Match 6 wasn't too much. I helped some people, bombed out a base, and returned home no problem. Now for the next battle. Match 7 was quite the match. This time, I decided to go with an F-4U Corsair. And not only did I take down one aircraft, but I attempted to save another allied one, with some success. At the beginning of the match, I of course took off from the airfield, where I gained plenty of altitude to begin with. Of course, when we reached the enemy, a friendly bomber was having a gaggle with a BF-110, and I dove down from the comfort of the sky to assist, counting the kill as my own. During a burst, I promptly caused the error to panic out of fear, and they rammed themselves into the ground, causing me to get the kill. I turned around back towards the fight and started to gain altitude once more. When I reached a stable altitude that I was comfortable with, I saw a Corsair being tailed in the distance. Now, I'm not one to leave my allies on a hook, so I decided to go and help them. And as I did, another enemy joined up on the tail. So instead of trying to take them down, I did some warning bursts to try to get them off, which proved to work a little bit, but they inevitably went back. I eventually landing a critical hit. However, when that critical hit proved unable to save my ally. The Corsair I was helping inevitably caught on fire and crashed into the ground in a fiery plume of death. I tailed that FW-190 while it ran. I was not going to let him off the hook. However, my blind rage and stubbornness costed me my life. I ended up getting tailed by another aircraft, which was the other aircraft at the time tailing that Corsair. I had gotten some good hits on the 190, but it proved worthless, as the enemy behind me caught my engine, caught me good. With that, my airspeed lowered, and they ended up killing me with a final burst. Match 8, I decided to roll with a P-51, and it was a good match indeed. Because after takeoff, I did my usual climb to gain altitude, climbing with a teammate who eventually pulled ahead. They dove for an enemy, and well, just watch my reaction.
Kick his ass! Hell yeah!
To say I really wanted that enemy gone. Eventually I came for a bomber who took off my left elevator. This would be something to note. Yet I haven't lost control of my aircraft, and knowing it just wasn't worth it, I turned off of that bomber and headed for an FW-190. I ended up tailing them for a while. Sadly, they managed to escape and I had to break off. Eventually, I began to tail a Zero, which I thought I had, till when I was ready to take the shot, it broke off. During the chase, they stalled themselves, forcing me to overshoot, in which they came back down and ended me. Clever girl. Match 9 was quite a lot longer, and yet I ended in flames. I did gain altitude after takeoff, as I usually do, and decided that after a long flight and hard decision, I would finish a BF-109 and fight other 3 allies. A lucky first hit put him in flames, but he didn't die. Some hard turns later, an ally stole my kill. With some pilot error... Oh, fuck. I later saw a lone key down below me. Quite a lot down below me. And I decided to dive for the kill. Assuming they saw me coming, they did whatever they did to avoid me. And I knew I was going way too fast to take the enemy on. So I decided to pull left, which proved to be an inevitable error. I was assuming that they would not pull left to attempt to take me on. But when they did, I chose not to go up, or even and I decided to turn fight with them, which proved to be my inevitable fate. I went down in flames, didn't even get to utter a last breath. Now this match was entirely different. This time, I will be using a BF-109E3, and I will be limiting my altitude to around 500 meters. The travel to the front was a long flight, and I did notice that there was an attacker attacking our ground units. Didn't know where he was, so I took a big look around, till I eventually picked up on them. Turned over, and decided to attack them. They did hit me. They didn't hit my engine, however. But I did also take them down. I managed to survive the fire, and now my fuel was leaking. I hadn't realized this quite yet. I was hesitating whether or not to go back to a fight with another thing, or just trying to get my bearings or figure out what I'm going to do. Eventually, I looked up, saw my fuel was leaking bad. Managed to nurse the aircraft back to the airfield. Got some just barely belly landing onto the airfield. After that, I decided to just get back up in the air, where I would probably get into combat with an LA-5. Because of my low altitude parameters, they dove into the ground, and nobody got the kill. Sucks, but it was funny. Anyway, I promptly ended the battle with a kill on a bomber. Bomber went down pretty hard, and I waited for the rest of the match to end. I survived the entirety of that match, which would be a first if it wasn't for match 6. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. And remember to check out Thick Thunder for War Thunder events almost every Saturday. Link in the description to join. Alright?
Stay mental, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!